City of Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. I'm Damlola Ogunshaki, and this is Today in the News. Here on Today in the News, we read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. And let's move straight to the front pages of the papers. I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with government of ex-president must account for $5 billion Abacha lose. Federal High Court orders administration of ex-presidents Obasanjo, Yaradua, Jonathan Buhari to account for repatriated funds. Serap urges Tinubu to obey court order. You can see that story on page 5. And here, there's a photo story showing President of African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and Chairman, Geregu Power PLC, Femi Otedola, after their discussion on developing Lagos State public-private partnership power transmission projects, the first in Nigeria at the Lagos House Marina recently. Now, inside Vanguard, we have banks in earnings windfall on the high interest rate regime. Earnings from lending up 46% to 1.4 trillion naira, rises faster than loan portfolio. Loan book up 18.7%. Experts see danger of MPL ahead. Now, on page 9, misconduct. PSC demotes CP to DCP, reduces ranks of 8 others. And moving on page 8, still we have a lobby for juicy committees intensifies in Senate. Buhari not in exile, congratulate Tinubu for emerging ECOWAS chairman. That's coming from his head. 200% hike in tuition fees will lead to massive student dropout. That's coming from NAAT. You can see that on page 13, stories above. And on page 6, we have curfew as 12 die in fresh attacks on Plateau communities. PIA, administrative challenges, inadequate funding, others in their implementation. That's according to investigation. And lastly, on Vanguard newspaper on page 6, accompanied with a picture of Governor Alia, it says Benue, death toll in Ukom local government attack hits 30. Governor Alia, APC condemn bloodbaths. Away from Vanguard, we move to the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with ministerial appointments. National Assembly awaits nominees as Tinubu sent list to DSS, EFFC and others. Head of service reshuffles secretaries ahead of minister's arrival. Others Tuesday resumption. Permanent Secretary writes Gbajabiamila, Akume, security chiefs, others on redeployment. You can see that on page 2. On page 20, Presidency, I worked against Atiku, says Fayoshe. NDLEA arrests Delta church worker, seizes drugs in states. That can be seen on pages 4 and 5. 18 Benin Republic bound party goers, driver, motor boy die in Lagos crash. That can be seen on page 4. Stories above. Cost of living. More Nigerians may join Jackpot train as hardship worsens. Subsidy removal, rising inflation, threatening livelihoods. 9 million pushed into poverty. That can be seen on page 2. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chair, rallies members against coup. You can see that on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Now let's move to the Guardian. Guardian is leading with ministerial list. 5 ex-governors, technocrats lead Tinubu's 42-man cabinet. You can see that on page 6. Stories below. Dangote congratulate the Guardian publisher on 40th anniversary. Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chairman, commits to democracy in sub-region. Terrorists killed 231 persons in Mango County. You can see that on page 8. And lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, FYI to destabilize the Southeast, frustrate Kanu's release to enrich self, says Ohaneze. You can see that on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis with our guest. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Joining me to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Aliu Mohammed. He is the CEO of Magnet Communications, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, Mr. Aliu.
Good morning, Damlola. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. And days after the presidential inauguration, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been elected as the chairman of ECOWAS. What do you think about his appointment?
It's It's a worthy appointment coming at this time. One of the one of the things that set me back a little last week was the same ECOWAS monitoring committee reports, which was widely condemned by the Nigerian government. But fortunately, the same ECOWAS is honoring Tinubu as the chairman of the ECOWAS Commission. It's a good one for Nigeria, a good one for the president, a tacit recognition of the election of Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president of Nigeria.
All right, let's move to other stories. And Vanguard led this morning with the story of the court and Abacha loot. And for failing to provide details of the project executed or being executed with the $5 billion returned Abacha loot, a federal high court in Abuja weekend have ordered the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and Muhammad Buhari to account for the funds. An estimated $5 billion Abacha loot have been returned since 1999, and the High Court is telling them to, account for it.
I think that would be an exercise in futility. Why would you include the name of a late president in the list of presidents that have been asked to account for Abacha loot? The man is dead, Then all the presidents that they have mentioned are in quotes above the law. That's why I said it is an exercise in futility, because all those governments saw the Abacha loot recovery as a bonanza. Once it comes, they share it and nobody talks. You see, that is the problem of impunity in Nigeria. People don't get punished for all the crimes that they commit at all levels, either at the lowest level of governance or at the highest level of governance. We don't have that culture of punishing people for whatever crimes they commit, either in office or out of office. Unfortunately, the court is calling on those who have left government 20 years ago to come and account for Abacha loot. Is that possible? We should know that it's going to be an exercise in futility. Which policeman will go and arrest Abubakar or Obasanjo? Answer. Which policeman in Nigeria, which DSS man in Nigeria will go and arrest Obasanjo? Whereas in South Africa, don't forget that their former president was arrested and jailed for contempt of court. The court invited him, he didn't appear, and he was tried and jailed. He was given a suspended sentence. The man said, no, I'm ready to serve. He's there now. Have we ever had anything like that in Nigeria? No. So that's why I see all these court summons or calls that they should account for Abacha loot as an exercise in futility. It has never happened in the history of Nigeria that a past leader will be called to question. Well, I wouldn't say if it can happen now, but I see all this as grandstanding and an exercise in futility. That's my opinion.
But this like $5 billion been returned since 1999, and in 2020 $311 million Abacha loot was returned. Will you say that when looking at the infrastructure and everything, this money was actually put to use?
Each of those governments saw the returned loot as nothing but a windfall that can be shared among those who were in government at that time. So I don't see any government now, not even the Tinubu government, calling any of those former heads of states to question. It can never happen because it has never happened.
But the court now have ordered that the president should disclose the exact amount of money that
Which
was
president?
stolen. The court have asked
Which president?
President Tinubu, to disclose the exact amount of money stolen by the former head of state,
How
as
can you ask somebody
General
who
Sani
came to
Abacha.
office, a little over 30 days ago, to account for what have been spent in the last 20-something years? It's not possible. Damilola, where will he get the records? The records will have been taken off. Don't forget that a president-elect, a new president is usually elected months before the incumbent will leave office. So whoever is there would have attempted to clean everything that they felt can implicate them in case of any probe. So that's why I said it is all an exercise in futility. There is no how Tinubu can account for it.
Okay, let's talk
You
about.
can account for what you know. You can only account for things that have records that you can refer to. Was it part of the handing over note? If it is part of the handing over note, then you can be sure that you will be able to do some level of accounting. If it is not included in the handing over note, that means you are asking him to dig into the expenses of about 4 or 5 administrations. Is that possible? It is not possible.
All right, let's talk about the Minister of Finance. Now, the excuse that was given by the Minister of Finance is that the ministry has searched its record and the details of the exact public funds stolen by Abacha and how the funds have been spent, that they are not held by the ministry. So who else is supposed to handle this if not the ministry?
It is a confirmation of what I said, that each of those governments saw the Abacha, returned Abacha loot as nothing but a windfall. A windfall. So getting them or asking them to refund anything is a wasted effort, because there are no I just said it, that there are no records there. There are no records for all these expenses, what have been received and all that. So we need to be careful here how we have to put pressure on the government of Senator Tinubu, because you can only account for what you can have access to as a new government. The Minister of Finance just said that there are no records for it.
But if this is coming from the Minister of Finance, and the court has given this order, it's definitely supposed to be obeyed. And Serap is asking Tinubu that he should obey the court order that was given. So why will
they will obey the court order if you summon them? But if there are nothing, if there is nothing, or there are no evidences to give to the court, that's the end of the matter. You can only provide what you have. You can't be forced to provide. What those who went to court, what were they waiting for? Till after about 4 or 5 governments after the death of Sani Abacha. We had the Obasanjo's government, we had Yar'Adua's government, we had Jonathan's government, we had Buhari's government, and now the government of Tinubu, which came in 30 days ago. What were they waiting for? It is all part of the impunity that has permeated every level of governance in Nigeria. If a government comes in and you feel the expenses of the past governments were not well accounted for, you can demand for explanation from the government that has just passed. But we didn't have such a situation. You are now asking the new government to account for things that have happened across 5 regimes. It is not possible. It's going to be an exercise in futility. That's why I hate the pronouncements of some of our courts. They sound unrealistic and a total exercise in futility. Why would any judge sit down and ask a government that came in 30 days ago to account for the received Abacha loot across 4 past governments? It's impossible. You can't get the records anywhere. because all those past governments saw the returned loot, which came in after the budget would have been passed by the Senate and the House of Reps. And they will see that extra income as what they can share conveniently without accounting for it. And that is exactly what has happened.
All right, still talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I mean, it's over 40 days in the office. Now, in the past, we understand that ministers sometimes are appointed after 6 months, but people were expecting that it was going to be lesser this time around. Now, expectations on this ministerial list have heightened. So, what do you think about the fact that he has not released this list even 40 days after?
See, we look at these things as things that are easy. A president is sitting down, is expected to bring together experts, nominees from across the 36 states of the Federation. Some of these nominees he has never met. The names came from various constituencies, various states. Some of them from friends. And you are bringing all of them together to work with you. It is not an easy thing. You must sit down and look at the names thoroughly. And like I have just read, the names have been sent to the DSS and which organization again? For EFFC, for scrutiny, which is a good process. Whoever is coming to government we must be sure that that person is not coming to loot. We must be sure that whoever is taking a position in government is not coming there to set the nation back 10 times through his actions. We must be sure that whoever is going to be part of this administration have something to really contribute to the development of the country. There should be a departure from the past, where the past government was put together based on ethnic sentiments and some other personal considerations. So let's give the president some time to really put together a crack team.
Okay, so you are expecting that the new cabinet will consist of 42 ministers and 20 special advisors.
That's what they have said. You look at 42 ministers, right?
Yes.
And 20 special advisors. It's not easy to put together that team. 62 people to come and work with one man. And you need to get to know all of them one by one. It's not easy. Let us give him some time. And I'm sure he's going to come out with the best team.
Let's move away from that. So 200% increase in fees and charges are now being imposed by universities authorities. And NAAT, that's the National Association of Academic Technologists, they've expressed worry and concern, saying that it may lead to students dropping out of school.
Yes, I agree with that position totally. You see, this subsidy removal is affecting all sectors of the economy negatively. Like I said before I came on the program, I do not see any reason why the past government could not embark on the rehabilitation of our 4 refineries, or alternatively approve licenses for the establishment of private refineries. If we continue to import fuel, we will continue to face an increase, because the dollar with which they import fuel is rising every hour of the day. So what we are just going through is a tip of the iceberg. If we don't have locally produced refined petroleum products, the price of petroleum products will continue to go up. Because what I expect by today is that we should have a level playing field in the downstream sector of the petroleum industry, which has been deregulated by the present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That because if you are importing fuel, there is nothing wrong in also allowing for local refining of petroleum products in Nigeria. Every year, the past government voted money for the 4 refineries. Where has all those votes gone to? What were they spent on? There are questions to be asked by the president, and the Minister of Petroleum in Nigeria has said that for since 2016 or 2018, nobody was paid subsidy, but we also always have a budget for subsidy. So in the last 4 or 5 years, where has the budget for subsidy been going to? Is it being spent on unseen, or is it being paid to unseen contractors who are importers of petroleum products? I'm also aware that in the past few years, it is only NNPC that has been importing fuel to Nigeria. Could the NNPC also have been paying itself subsidy? We have to answer all these questions before we move forward, because I believe that this is nothing but a mere exploitation of the masses of this country. Look at what the removal of subsidy. I am not condemning it, but there must have been some alternatives that would have cushioned the effects of the removal of subsidy on the masses. You just wake up one morning, you are going to work with your usual 1,000 naira as transport fee, then you get to the bus stop, suddenly bus fare has been increased and you have 1,000 to take you to and from work. How do you want to go about that? I'm sure it would have happened to some of you. You go out with 2,000 expecting that your transport fare to and from work is 2,000 naira, and suddenly there is a rainfall and the bus drivers increase transportation to over 2,000. So how will people cope? So the truth of the matter is that there must be a step urgently taken by the present government to ameliorate the suffering of the people.
All right, Mr. Luna, you're talking about, you said Nigerians are suffering, and according to what the saying said, 9 million people have been pushed into poverty due to the cost of living and the inflations, and the fact that even many Nigerians, they are joining the jackpot train because of this hardship. Now, do you think grants should be considered? Giving grant to the students should be considered?
This is not about giving grants, Damilola.
You said many steps.
If you talk about giving grants, that is an immediate action. We are talking of a lasting solution to the problem. The lasting solution is to be able to bring down the cost per liter of petrol or other petroleum products like diesel and all that. Do you know how much it costs to service a car now? Engine oil, 1 gallon, that used to sell for 2,500. Some of them sell for over 10,000 now. The oil with which I service my car goes for 26,000. What we used to buy for 11,000, now it is 26,000. Can we continue like that? Can we sustain that terrible situation? No, it is not possible. There must be a lasting solution. In the interim, yes, there can be some payments to the students to cushion the effect. But the truth of the matter is that we need a lasting solution. And that solution is to have petroleum products refined locally in Nigeria. Even if you want to sustain importation, I am not against it. Let those who want to import, but let us have locally produced refined products in Nigeria. And there will be competition. There will be a level playing field in that sector. It's a simple economics. I don't know why people are not getting to understand what we are saying. Yes, importation, fine. You can make all your money. But let those who want to produce locally have access to license to do that. Nobody is talking about it. People are talking about giving grants, giving 20,000. What problem with that? So the 20,000 that you will spend The moment transporters know that you have been given the money, because the money will be announced on radio, and the day it is announced, they will jack up the cost of transportation. So, is that a solution? No. The solution is to let us have locally refined petroleum products. If those who want to continue to import because they are making money, so be it. I am not against that.
With this, the cost of living and with the poverty in Nigeria, do you think people living in Nigeria, I mean, these jackpot trainers, do you think it's the best solution?
To them, they see it as the best, but it is when you get there, when you get abroad, you know that it is also not easy there. And that's why you see some of them working from 7 a.m. to maybe 5. They come home to have a nap. At 8 p.m., they are going back to work because you are going to pay heavy tax, house rent. You are going to the price of petroleum product has also gone up abroad quite substantially. In the UK, they've increased the prices of various brands of petroleum products that they have there. So you have to work like almost 24 hours to be able to survive. You are going to be heavily taxed. Whatever income you get will be taxed. So it is also not easy abroad. Why people think that it is easy is because all the basic amenities, light, water, are there. You can get all those ones conveniently, but you also have to pay heavily for them. You've lived abroad before, and you know what is obtainable there. You school there. I know that you school there. You know what I am talking about. So, Japa is not, to me, is not the solution. Let us get things done well in our country so that people will stop jackpying abroad. No, that's the truth of the matter. You need to visit Lassos. You will weep for this country. People are being treated right inside their cars. No bed spaces for patients. And we call ourselves the giant of Africa. Go to Rwanda, a country that survived genocide 25 years ago. Go there and see what they use drones to take drugs to various communities from the capital city of that country, Kigali. They use drones to send drugs, medicine, all sorts of hospital needs. You won't see a single drop of water, paper on the road. They have developed so well. So when people sit down and say we are the giants of Africa, I just laugh. What is working here? The health sector is in shambles. The so-called transport sector is in shambles. We just talked about education. Students likely to get out of school. I think we should do everything possible to keep students in school, because the repercussion of them getting out of school is heavy on the nation. That's when those who couldn't go to school will become cultists, armed robbers, kidnappers, because they want to make ends meet. By all means, they want to make ends meet. So you see the government spending more money on arms and ammunition to fight criminal activities. All the money that they were supposed to spend on educating the people, all the money that they were supposed to spend on giving us good healthcare system in the country. There is one hospital in Bayelsa, international standard. I have been told that that hospital is dead today. Why? No vote. It cannot be sustained. It cannot be maintained. It is sad. We must look into the development of our country to prevent people leaving the country in droves. If you need to visit the airport one evening, And you will know that people are really getting out of here. Ethiopian airline is fully booked. It's about the cheapest. Moroccan airline, fully booked. Because they, with less than a billion, you can travel by those airlines. So we have to be careful. Doctors are living in droves. Nurses are living in droves. Teachers are living in droves. So how do you, where are the human resources that you want to use to sustain the development of this country if they all go out? Because of what? Salaries that cannot sustain them. No allowances that is enough for them to even live as human beings here. So they prefer to go out there, work for 22 hours and earn the income, pay every taxes, and stay there, send money to their parents, send money to their families that they have left here. Husband is living in UK, wife and children are here. Is that a good life? No.
Yeah. All right, let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. this morning. And the first person speaking today is Mrs. Mrs. says, I apologize, and I think both of us agreed to bury the hatchet. So what do you mean by conspiracy against you? Mr. replied, what was Junior doing snuggling between me and you in the middle of the night?
Junior was sleeping.
Mrs.
Disturbing is a big disturbance. Junior must be a big disturbance that they should get rid of. As an adult, they should have their freedom and access to whatever they want to do at night. Not Junior preventing them from enjoying that freedom.
And I guess that's what is annoying Mr.
It will annoy anybody now. Even the mother will be angry. But she will want to show motherly love, but it's a kind of pretense. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Ali, for joining us this morning.
Thank you too.
And that's all. Do it to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. And we're also on Threads. So do well to follow us there. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Have a lovely morning.